This is Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber edition. I'm your host, Chris Templeton with Influence Internet. And I am quite pleased to be here with my co-hosts for the day, Dina Villarreal and Darren Petrie from Mechanics Bank.
Thanks for having us on again.
You guys are welcome. Thank you for what you're doing. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, which is...
Well, this year we've got the 7th annual Napa Community Awards again. We get to be part of that and just honoring the unsung heroes of the valley and the surrounding areas. And it's just a great luncheon that it's coming together here at the end of the month, and we can get into all that information a little bit later. But
May 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, May 30th.
Yes. Gosh, I can't believe how
3 weeks away.
So yeah.
Well, May 30th is the actual luncheon and celebration. So this year we have an extraordinary number of honorees, and we also actually have 2 students this year, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, very exciting. Rate of Todd.
That is right, and we're about to introduce that one of those students in just a minute. But before that, let's talk about the process so people know kind of about probably, was it March or so, February, March, that nominations went out. People could nominate.
Right. So there is a call for nominations that goes out. There's a website that is set up. There are posters that are and flyers distributed around the Napa Valley, not just here in Napa, but from American Canyon up to Calistoga. And we have people submit for different categories nominations, and then later, after we have the deadline for the nominations, then that's when the team gets together, both from Mechanics Bank and from the Napa Valley Chamber or Napa Chamber Foundation,
right.
And we actually try diligently to come up with the winners, which is not an easy task.
And that's the part that I was specifically referring to. I mean, I don't know what the number is, but I imagine you have 50 or 60 different nominations
in the different categories. Yes, there have been as many up to I think 60 in the past, if not more, depending on some years. And you read all of those applications. Yes. You go through every single one, and you take each one to heart, because each one of those people that has been nominated has their own unique story about what makes them unique and special and a hero to whoever submitted that application.
Absolutely.
So it's really draws at your heartstrings, to say the least.
Oh yeah, every one of them is a winner. So
yes,
it's hard to. How do you just pick one out from that? But.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not on that committee. But the other side of it is, it would be really cool if people could see at some level just how much is going on in this valley that you get to see, and out of that you have to pick one or 5 or 6 winners, maybe a few more. But the bottom line is, so much going on in this valley.
Yeah, there's just so many, as we've always talked about, the community support that goes into the valley of this size for the population. We are so fortunate to have that.
Yeah, I'm convinced that it's the hills that kind of box us in.
That's right.
Keep us together. But and the other thing that I think is just so wonderful about the valley is just when we do these awards and get to interview all these people that are nominees or winners, it's so clear that there's such cooperation in the valley across different sectors of the valley, different, health and human services, the nonprofits that help, people in tough times, that sort of thing. It just, everybody seems to work together better. And I talked to Mike Parness, city manager, and he's like, "Oh, you guys have no idea how great this is compared to some of the places I've been." Or Craig Smith last week said, "Oh, you have no idea what cooperation we have." And I think that's what really marks this whole thing, and really the kind of the one time a year we really get to pay some careful attention to that.
That's right.
Let's introduce 2 of our nominees for nonprofit. With United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay, Ron Hamilton, welcome.
Welcome to you. Thank you so much.
You want to put that right at your mouth.
Got it.
Just like that. And then you're going to hand it off to Janet Todd with Girls on the Run, Napa Valley.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thanks for being here, both of you. Ron, let's start with you. Cerebral palsy, isn't that gone now?
No.
Don't we wish?
That would be terrific. But our role is really on the program side, and that is supporting people that have cerebral palsy and other developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, autism.
Okay.
Epilepsy are all developmental disabilities. So we serve a broad range of children and adults with disabilities.
Now, talk a little bit about, you're one of the nonprofits that's really, are you worldwide or nationwide?
It's actually worldwide. There's probably 100 affiliates across the United States, but we are our own nonprofit. We have our own board of directors, led by Steve Laurer, who is our board president, and Margaret Farman, our executive director.
So, one of the things that you do is really work on fundraising and then distributing that money within Napa Valley. Talk a little bit about kind of what you guys do specifically.
Well, our fundraising really gears around us raising funds to support our organization, United Cerebral Palsy, and the people that we serve. But here's the unique thing. When coming into the Valley as United Cerebral Palsy, we wanted to do something that really connected with the Valley. So we started a business called Wine Bev Services that employs adults with developmental disabilities in the wine industry.
That is so great.
And what we do is to package wine and to assemble wine shipping kits for major wineries. And all of that creates revenue, which then creates the wages that we pay our adults with developmental disabilities. So they're getting real wages, real jobs, and Napa, it's in the wine community. So how exciting is that?
What a great opportunity. That is so great that you specialize that program for the needs of those adults. I think that's so neat.
Well, thanks. I think it's kind of like if you read the headline, it would be something like 132 adults with disabilities package 5 million bottles of wine in 5 years.
Wow, they're busy.
That's pretty amazing.
Very impressive, boy.
It's really a good one. It's interesting. We've had, I've spoken recently with Napa PSI. We had last week in here Vine Village as a nominee. There is, and we'll just keep going on this theme, there is so much going on to serve developmentally disabled adults. And I just can't thank you guys enough for what you do, because I think it changes not only the lives of these people, but I think it changes the lives of, and I hate this term, but well, how about this? Everybody who's not developmentally disabled. In terms of their exposure to these people, when I grew up, man, oh man, it was scary, right? Yeah. And now there's nothing to be scared of, because we know who they are. We see, if they have Down syndrome, we see those big smiles and their excitement about life. I mean, we've really, in a sense, we've really brought them out of the closet, haven't we? And deinstitutionalized them as well.
Well, good point. You're certainly aware of all of that. And the excitement that we have is twofold. It's also around the work that I discussed a little bit, but it's also around creating a real quality of life for people. So in addition to the work, pardon me, and the wages that we provide, we also provide quality of life activities, recreation activities, camps, a lot of therapeutic type programs that really support the individual and their families. So when you think of United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay, you really have to think broadly in terms of the numbers of people we serve, who we serve, and the kind of services that we provide.
It's great.
One of the things that comes up a lot for us as well in doing this show is I am shocked, and you can speak to this at some level, of what a huge community you have for developmentally disabled kids and young adults and adults, and how well you guys work together. I mean, it's not United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay just off on their own, is it?
No, by no means. You mentioned a couple of other very fine programs. And Vine Village, for one, is a program that we really have a lot of respect for and do work with. In fact, Margaret Farman, who is our executive director, is also the vice president of the Napa Valley Coalition of Nonprofit Agencies.
Right.
And all of those agencies are really involved. So if you're looking for a community of people as nonprofits that support Napa Valley, we are that, and we are part of that.
That's a great group.
Talk a little bit about how Wine Bev came to be and a little more detail on that, because I think one of the things that I think about as somebody who's exposed to this, and a lot of people that aren't, is, these people are great workers, aren't they?
They're terrific workers, and it works because of our relationships with the Napa Valley wine industry and the business community. That the 5 million bottles of wine that we packaged over 5 years are primarily from Treasury Wine Estates, but we also have our folks working on site at Sutter Home. So just a little thanks to them. Without the business community providing us with the work that our folks can very competently do, it wouldn't work. But you put it all together, and our folks with developmental disabilities are able to earn real wages, meaning not piece rate wages, not that, but real prevailing wages for their work, and not based on their their abilities. It's all around their desire to work and our ability to provide work for them. So is it life-changing? It's absolutely life-changing. And that's what makes it really, really fun to be a part of it.
What a great program. I'm sure the feedback that you get from the adults, it just must be so positive.
Well, thank you. It's continuing to grow, too.
I'm sure. That's so great.
You know, you mentioned Treasury Wine Estates and Sutter Home. Anybody else you want to mention? Because you know what? Look, what you're doing is critical, serving this population, but if we don't have businesses that are stepping up to the plate, and I want you to talk about the value to those businesses where they after go, oh my God, this is so...
Well, we wouldn't be getting the business if we weren't doing a tremendous job in doing the business.
Right. It's a great
and so we have a 5-year history of that. When we opened our doors to Wine Bev Services in 2008, we had 3 adults with developmental disabilities that started the program, and quite frankly, we didn't know where it was going to go. But now we're talking about having 132 employees with developmental disabilities working on site Monday through Friday and packaging wine, assembling the wine shipping kits, and also having the experience of working together as a team. So the environment itself is critical to this success.
Absolutely.
So we give tours of Wine Bev Services, too, if you're interested.
Oh, you do?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
And if you want to learn a little bit more about Wine Bev Services, and maybe I'm also speaking to the business community that might want to do business with us, that website is www.winebev.com.
Oh, great.
We would love to talk with you.
I think that's...
So do talk a little bit more about, in terms of the businesses, after they've been working with you guys for a while, what are some of the things that they say, I just never would have imagined?
I think most people have had that experience with us, particularly when our folks go out and work on mobile bottling lines, when they work at Sutter Home. They're really integrated with all the other workers in the community, and that really speaks volumes. Our supervisors who work with our employees with disabilities really work alongside. So it is always a team effort, and we always get positive feedback from the business community. You know, you mentioned just if there's anybody else I wanted to mention, and I do in terms of Napa Valley and our helping to support the greening of Napa Valley. The Gasser Foundation was really instrumental in the recent installation of solar energy at Wine Bev Services, which
cool.
It's a 42,000 square foot warehouse. So to have solar energy, to be a part of the greening of Napa Valley, and to have that as a financial benefit, which will allow us to operate for years to come.
That's great.
That is.
Yeah,
we really appreciate the Gasser Foundation and Sustainable Napa County.
Wonderful.
You know what? I don't know how you guys do it. We talk about this every time about how do you make the decision about which one is. Well, last year you guys you guys really failed last year because you couldn't make a decision. You had to pick 2.
Yeah. But there are so many wonderful choices, and these are just a few of the examples.
Everybody's doing such incredible work in the Valley. It's just amazing.
So fortunate.
Ron Hamilton with United Cerebral Palsy. We're going to continue with you in a moment, but thank you. We're also here with Janet Todd. We're going to take a break. Janet's from Girls on the Run. We're going to take a break and then come and talk to Janet. And want to, as usual, thanks Dina Villarreal and Darren Petrie from Mechanics Bank. Stay with us. And we are back with Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition. I'm your host, Chris Templeton. We are talking about the Napa Chamber Foundation's Community Awards, celebrating community. And I'm here with Dina Villarreal and Darren Petrie from Mechanics Bank. Thank you guys for all your support on this.
Of course. Thank you, Chris, for having us on.
Yeah, we love to do this. This is always the best part of the whole event, as far as I'm concerned, is talking to the people, the nominees and the winners.
And as I've said many times, It's so fun to see you guys. I think we started doing this on the air about 4 years.
But we were just trying to figure that out.
We were trying to remember how long it's been.
I think it's about 4 years. And, man, the first year we had a big planning meeting 15 minutes before. Now we walk in cold. Everybody knows what they're doing, and it's all good. And we walk in cold for one reason. It's because we then get to interview you from the standpoint of most of the audience. We don't do a ton of research. We let you tell us. So, with another nominee for Nonprofit of the Year is Girls on the Run, and we have Janet Todd. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate being here.
What's this thing with girls and running? I mean, come on. Is it that important?
It is very important, and I have to say that I think the misconception is that people feel like it's just running, and running is a part of it. It's moving your bodies in a healthy manner, but we're so much more than running. We're an empowerment program for young girls, and we're talking girls ages 8 to 13. So we're empowering the girls with life skill curriculum that's combined with experiential activities and games and running. But ultimately, we're trying to empower the girls and inspire them to be confident, joyful, and healthy.
Talk a little bit about how you got started with this, or how Girls on the Run got started.
So Girls on the Run, we're so fortunate. It's a national program, and in Napa County, we buy the rights to offer Girls on the Run here. And we started 7.5 years ago. I have to say I'm very fortunate that I was at a point where I was dropping out of the corporate world and moving into an area of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And it was all about giving back with girls and some type of physical activity. And I had no idea about Girls on the Run at that time. And when I read about it and I saw it, I'm like, God, this is so much more fulfilling and so much better than just physical activity. The life skill curriculum is brilliant. I mean, truly brilliant life skill curriculum.
Talk a little bit about that. I mean, I think, we hear, life skill curriculum, and we go, oh, yeah, whatever. But it's something way more than that, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're
than just a whatever.
I mean, it's starting with the self. So it goes into how do you stop negative self-talk and replace it with positive self-talk? It's celebrating their uniqueness. So some of the games that we do to help reinforce that, in celebrating their uniqueness, we have the girls, first they identify an adjective that describes them that's the same as the first letter of their first name. So I'm Janet. My adjective is joyful Janet.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's very fitting.
Okay, it fits, right?
It totally fits.
The girls really get into that, and it's empowering for them to share something that's unique and special about them. We also do a game where we have them lined up where they run around a cone if they agree with the statement that's read.
Oh, wow.
So the statement is, I like to read. So they get to see what they have in common with each other and maybe something that's unique about them.
Now, if they don't like to read, then you just tell them they're bad, right?
No. They just stand there and they cheer their friends on.
Exactly.
But it's all very positive. So it moves from the self. They start at the self, empowering, feeling confident in who they are. We also teach them healthy nutrition, but it's all in games and physical movement and moving their bodies.
Isn't it lovely having new ways to teach that aren't just from text?
Truly, it is very empowering. And I have to say that we use volunteers from the community. So it's always a challenge for us to recruit enough volunteers to lead the groups. Mm-hmm. We have no problem getting girls. We sell out the majority of the time with our sites and our groups. But we have a challenge finding the volunteers within our community to lead them. But it's very positive for them. But after we go into the self, we talk about how to be a good friend. So we teach the girls how to stand up to bullies, how to stop gossip. I have to say one problem for me is when I was young, I was always taught if you didn't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. Right. Okay, now we're trying to teach the girls that it's important to express all your feelings, and you need to do that in a positive way, and we don't use our fists, we use our words. Our words are powerful. So we teach the girls 8 years old to 13, I feel, when you, because I would like for you. And they're using them. So yesterday was my last day. I coach at NBLA Elementary School. It was my last day yesterday. And one of the girls shared that what she learned was to use her words, and that she used these I feel words with her dad. because she was feeling like they weren't spending enough time together. So she says, I feel sad when you're not there to pick me up, and I really would like for you to be there to pick me up because I love our time together. So in the future, I'd really like you to be there. So here's a little 8-year-old girl, Latina
That's
girl.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Using her words. And actually, her mother helped coach her, because we also send all the material home in English and Spanish so that the families at home get the information. So it's really, really powerful. After that, I would just finish up. So we go self, good friends. Then ultimately, what does it mean to be a great community member? So what you guys are reinforcing, I'm giving back to the community. Right. We also teach that with the girls. And so they do a community service project. So there are actually some days that we don't run. And they did a community service project last week. So there are 2 big goals that they do at the end of 10 weeks together. Is a community service project and a 5K fun run.
Oh, wow.
So
it's a 10-week program from end to end, and then is there something they go on to? Do they become volunteers, or?
We offer Girls on the Run in the spring and in the fall. And it does go for 10 weeks. The girls meet twice a week for an hour and 15 minutes. Again, always outside, moving your body. We do everything in a circle because we're all equal and celebrating our uniqueness. And there's 2 different curriculums that we offer. So if they do it in the spring and the fall, they're not repeating the same curriculum. It has the same flow of going from self outward, but the games are different, and you have different girls. So there's a lot of discussion that our volunteers facilitate. So that discussion kind of makes it a little different.
So we're getting close to the end, but I want you to just give me, everybody, this life skills thing.
Oh, it's so important for young ladies. Boy.
All the stuff we teach in schools, this is, in my mind, some of the most powerful stuff in terms of how do I effectively interact with people, and I appreciate the point about, look, we want you to be successful in society, just like Ron's doing with his developmentally disabled people. Talk a little bit about why this is so valuable.
Ultimately, we're helping our girls believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. And if they want to grow up to be president of the country, of a business or whatever, that they have the confidence in themselves and the comfort in their own bodies to go for it. And we hear over and over a story I'll share with you. There was a little girl at one of the schools here in Napa who was afraid to come to school. She was having a hard time getting from home to school because she had an anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. The days that she was coming were the days that Girls on the Run was offered.
Oh, wow.
And they noticed that trend. So her teachers and volunteers were helping to encourage her to do it on non-Girls on the Run days. So, again, ultimately, we're trying to help these little girls do whatever they want within life and feel good about it.
There was in the 70s, what was the phrase for women and men too, but what's the term I'm thinking of?
Self-affirmation or...
you're close. I'll think of it. Anyway, the bottom line is what you're trying to do is to have kids that are confident. And kids that are confident do better, don't they?
Yeah.
So simple.
And I have to say, especially for girls,
yes.
Going through middle school, they question their bodies, their self. They're so concerned about what others think of them. We're trying to provide the tools beforehand so that when they get in middle school, we don't see that significant drop in self-confidence. Yeah. And then we have different curriculum for middle school girls to help them remember, keep it positive, don't be so hard on yourselves. And we are seeing difference. We do tests where we analyze the data on self-esteem, body image, and perceptions around physical activity, and we're making a difference. And so we're really, really...
And it makes a big difference for everybody, not just the girls. It makes a difference for how they socialize, how effective they are in society. So, you guys, I just feel so sorry for you.
I could go on for days about this subject myself. I think it's so near and dear as a mother.
They should have a program for adults.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is how you start. You start as a young person, and you grow up, and hopefully you have that confidence.
Absolutely, and just having these conversations, Oh, I'm excited about where we're going, and for two of the reasons that are in front of us right now are Janet Todd from Girls on the Run, which is GOTR NapaValley.org, as in Girls on the Run, Napa Valley, GOTR NapaValley.org. Janet Todd. You can also be reached at 968
0692
0692 if you would like to find out more. If you are a business that does regular work and needs good, solid employers, please call Ron Hamilton with United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay and Wine Bev Services. He is Chief of Operations and obviously another guy who's just doing great things in this community. We are so lucky. So lucky.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys both for being here. I totally appreciate it. This is Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition. I'm your host, Chris Templeton with Influence Internet, and we will be back after this. Stay with us. And we are back with Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition. I'm your host, Chris Templeton with Influence Internet, an online marketing firm. And I am very happy to be here with Darren Petrie and Dina Villarreal from Mechanics Bank, sponsors of the Napa Chamber Foundation Community Awards, celebrating community. We get to celebrate. We get to celebrate great stuff, don't we?
It's amazing.
We're
It
so
is just
lucky.
amazing how many organizations.
You know, being in this position, it's so cool because you really don't realize how much is going on.
Yeah.
I did Leadership Napa Valley about 6 years ago, and you know, they tour different sectors of the county, and that was an eye-opener. But seeing in more detail all these fabulous nonprofit nominees, it's just a great thing.
And the need for them is just doesn't stop.
And the Valley has so many great nonprofits that do a various amount of different things. Yeah,
yes.
it's great.
By the way, the celebration is on May 30th at the Napa Valley Marriott. Tickets are $68 each. You can call 226-7455, which is the Napa Chamber. And, you know, one of the things we haven't mentioned is who some of our winners are. Would you like to, anybody want to start with a couple of them?
Oh, sure. Yes. So for the categories that we have already selected winners for the Community Booster of the Year, we had Doris Gentry this year, who is amazing.
Yeah, and Chris has already interviewed her this
yes,
year,
that's
too.
right. The Healthcare Profession of the Year was Dr. James Cotter.
Yep, from Kaiser.
From Kaiser. We actually had a tie this year with the students, which was just amazing. Once again, trying to select one. But Layla Carmel Norris and Nicholas Giaccaccio.
We're still trying to figure that
I
out.
think we butchered that last
name.
week,
We gotta
too.
get him in
So,
here.
Nick is
bless his heart.
getting well, and he's probably going to give us a hard time once we do meet him over his name. Hospitality for the Tourism Award went to Sarah Brooks this year. And we had the Nonprofit Employee of the Year, which was Craig Smith.
Those guys are thick as thieves, too, Craig and Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Sarah, in the interview last week, said that if she doesn't talk to Craig at least once a day, she thinks something's wrong.
Right, exactly. And then we had the Public Safety Officer, which was John Robertson this year. Amazing person as well. And then, of course, we wait for the day of the event for not only the nonprofit organization, but the Teacher of the Year will be announced that day as well.
Absolutely.
Such a fabulous day.
So, we need to move on. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Oh, wait. No, wait. Rejane Brito.
Yes, that's
From Puertas Abiertas. Welcome, Executive Director. Puertas Abiertas. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
so. Puertas Abiertas is the Spanish for open doors. We are a community center, a family resource center, serving the low-income community, particularly Latinos. One thing, like, our doors are open to anyone, not just the Latinos. So we see people with all needs coming through our doors. We are considered the one-stop center for service, and we make sure that people who come with different types of needs, they're going to be connected to service in the community. And that's how we started. We started as a collaborative of different nonprofits coming together to identify the needs and work to make sure that the families and the people who needed some sort of assistance, that they would get the service, that they will access those service.
Now, one of the things that I'm aware of in being in a meeting or two down there is that it's not just about service or getting people hooked up with resources. It's also, you guys do a lot of education, don't you?
Yes, we have a lot of education programs that we do at our site. We have English classes for Spanish speakers. We have parenting skills. We have a program called Middle School Connections that is working with parents that have middle school age children and helping them identify ways that they can better connect with their children and help them succeed at the school. So those are some of the programs we do at our site. We also are part of a collaborative, and we provide free tax preparation service for low-income families. And we just finished our tax season and went above our goal. We had the goal of serving 100 households, and we were about 115.
Oh, great.
That's wonderful.
Now, is that in collaboration with somebody? I want to say that you were collaborating. There was another firm that was working with you on.
Yeah, so it's a collaborative of different family resource centers in the county. So we are all providing this amazing service, and it's a program from United Way. It was brought in to Napa a few years ago, and Puertas joined 3 years ago. So this was our third year providing the tax preparation service. So some of those programs we do. We also have a case mentoring for families that need assistance, and we have a flagship program. It's the Plaza Comunitaria. It's an education for life and work. It's actually an education in Spanish for adults who did not complete their elementary or middle school, high school level, and many of them are learning to read and write for the first time. So the goal is we want to make sure that they're going to be engaged in the community and learn English, but it's very hard to learn English when you don't really know the grammar structure in your own native language. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to really get them going on the language development, get them understanding how grammar and sentence work in their native language, and as they progress, they then move to the English classes.
So
what a great
just
program.
To be clear, for the people that I've heard all too many times talk about training people in their native tongue, what you're saying is the value of it is if I learn grammar in Spanish as a Spanish speaker, that I'm more capable and it's easier for me to learn to speak in English as a result.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and then there's a lot of
sure
data.
Everybody gets that.
Yeah, that's huge.
And you
What a
know, the other
wonderful way
thing
of
that
teaching it.
fascinates me is we were talking with Girls on the Run a few minutes ago, life skills, part of what you're teaching, and how to be more effective in your own community. One of the things that I think is really interesting, I used to be on the board of the River School 10 or 12 years ago, and we had very few Spanish speakers there, and it was an issue. Very few from the Latino community, and that has really changed. Talk about where we're headed and, you know, what you're seeing in terms of more and more English and non-English native speakers in terms of integration in the community.
Yeah, so that's one actually part of our mission is to really work towards community engagement. And we see a lot of these families have been here for a long time. They are the driving workforce for our county and for our community. And we see that the parents and the community really want to be able to provide a better life for themselves and for the families. So the children are, you know, all bilingual, and they're getting an education, and we want to make sure that the parents understand the importance of encouraging their children to continue through their academic and school life, so that they can then, be providing something else for the whole community. So we see more leaders coming out in the community that are Latinos, and that's a great way to bring together. So we always try to encourage through our classes and programs that people who can have and develop some sort of leadership skills, and not just skills for their own work, but also to be able to voice and to be part of the community and to identify what are the needs and be able to speak and not fear, because we are all working on this together.
You know what I just realized? She's talking about herself without realizing it. You do a fabulous job.
You do.
I just love the idea of, in the face of all of the garbage going on nationwide, that, you know, we are a community, aren't we? And we rely heavily on the Latino population for us being productive. And finding that common ground and helping to bring that common ground to everybody helps everybody.
Yes.
It's that simple, isn't it?
Yes, and last year, for example, we did a program, it's civic engagement, and we provided instruction information about the importance of voting, the importance of being active and being civic, civic life. So we had a group of about 15 to 20. We had different classes, and they were learning for the first time, and some of them kind of heard before but didn't really know how the U.S. government works. And many of them were citizens, and they had not registered to vote. So we were telling them, you have to register to vote, you have to voice, and go talk to all the members in the community who are eligible, and they can voice their concerns and, you know, put their vote out. So working on that civic engagement as well, we are just joined a new initiative supported by the Napa Valley Community Foundation to help legal residents become citizens. So that's really increasing and making sure that the Latino community are really engaged in our valley.
Great.
Amazing.
I mean, I can't even say anything. That's so great.
I have tremendous appreciation
And
for
respect,
what you're doing.
yeah.
And respect. Rejane Brito of Puertas Abiertas, Executive Director. You can be reached at 224-1786.
Yes.
Will you stick around through the end of the show?
Yes, I will.
I'm so impressed.
I am
So
too.
impressed.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
You guys got some competition.
Yeah, there are really some great nonprofits this year. My goodness, this can be tough.
Thanks
This
for having
is
us here.
absolutely my pleasure. This is Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition. I'm your host, Chris Templeton. We are going to take a break. I just wish we could go for another hour. Stay with us. We'll be back. And we are back with Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition, and we are talking with so many people today about the community awards, especially here with Darren Petrie and Dina Villarreal from Mechanics Bank. Thank you for your support of this.
Thank you, Chris.
We
It's a
just
wonderful
love it.
thing.
Yep.
And I just cannot even imagine being on the committee. Ugh, the decisions. We are now here with, from the Queen of the Valley, Jill Moss, Community Outreach, and Vanessa Gier, the Director of Communications. Was that close?
Very.
Okay, so
Right.
Queen of the Valley, people probably don't know that you guys are a nonprofit.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I think a lot of people don't know that. They just think Queen of the Valley Hospital. But we do so much than just provide acute care. One of our reasons for being, our founding members of the Sisters of St. Joseph, started out in the community and going out into the community and finding out where there were needs or gaps in services in the community and helping to provide those things. So that really is our history and our founding, and that is what we are all about, improving the health and well-being of the communities in which we serve and live. And we do much of that through our community outreach department, which Jill is a part of. So we provide programs and services through that in the community.
Give us a sense of some of the programs that you guys are taking into the community. Because I think people will be shocked at how many there are.
Well, the most noticeable ones that we see here in the Valley, people see the Children's Mobile Dental Clinic driving
Oh,
through
yeah.
town. We go around to many of the different schools in town that are Title I schools or family resource centers in town, all the way from St. Helena down to American Canyon. We also have our Care Network program, which is a chronic disease management program, which helps people to stay at home managing their chronic illness with an RN social worker team. We have a perinatal education and outreach program, which includes some behavioral health identified need of addressing perinatal postpartum depression. And our Healthy for Life program that goes into the schools as well and is helping us to address childhood obesity. In addition, we have a parent university program which works with parents to engage them in their children's education in some of our local schools as well.
You just hit a hot spot for me. I We've always been parts of alternative education where parent participation is big. And what do we do to help people to understand how important it is for parents to support? And I'm not talking about monitoring homework. I'm talking about just being involved. Talk a little bit about the types of things that you do to help parents, or the things that you recommend that parents do to be more involved.
Well, our Parent University program is currently in 3 different schools in Napa County, hoping to expand into 2 more next year. They are Title I schools where we go in and we provide classes for the parents on how to have an effective parent-teacher conference. How to, English as a second language is one of the classes we do provide. How to access the computer and access the parent portal so that they understand what their children are doing. How to be an effective classroom volunteer. These are all things that give them the tools to really be an active partner in their child's education.
I cannot stress how important it is what you guys are doing in that area. I see the kids that have parents that are really involved and the difference in their confidence.
Yeah.
They tend to do better in school.
That's right.
They're happier, and helping people. And I think it's a tough one because a lot of Title I is typically, how do they define that, low income?
So it's the children that have a larger percentage of free or reduced lunches at that school.
So socioeconomically they're disadvantaged.
Absolutely.
And how do we help parents who are working hard, right? I mean, this is not parents sitting at home drinking a beer on the couch. How do we help parents that are working so hard to be more effective? It's critical, isn't it?
You know, it's a program I really wish we could bring to so many more schools. I mean, a lot of parents need this program because sometimes we just don't know. It's a foreign place for us to be in the children's classroom.
Now, why is that a fit with healthcare?
You know, it's funny. The Sisters of St. Joseph really, many of the sisters were educators first. So this is one of the programs that is very near and dear to their heart.
Right.
They really find that, you know, with every person, if you have a good education or good educational foundation, that will give you the tools to be a healthy person later in life.
And
very
healthier
true.
And happier.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Balanced.
Well, I love what you said about parents being active partners. I think that's so critical.
It is very critical when you have children in a school. Know what they're doing. Be part of their lives. Sometimes you really have to just get in there and find out because they're not always going to tell you. You have to work with them.
One of the things that you mentioned was the care network for people with chronic conditions and helping them to stay at home. You know, man, our whole perspective from 30 years ago was stay in the hospital for 4 months. That's not the deal anymore, is it? And it's not good for you. I mean, it's better for most people to be in their homes, isn't it? Talk a little bit about that program.
Well, really, the best place to be when you're very, very, very sick is in the hospital.
Absolutely.
But the best place to be when you're getting better and rehabbing yourself is to be at home.
Right.
So this program is a transitions to care type program, which you're going to be hearing a lot about in the accountable care. And what this program does is an RN and social worker who go into the home and assess the needs of the patient, and they help to provide community resources to help this person be able to manage their illness in the home. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the years to come because as we go through the healthcare reform, the emphasis is really going to be on what are the community resources to keep our families healthy and keep our chronically ill or everybody healthy in the community and keep them out of the hospital.
Right, and except for when it's needed, and that is what makes the most sense. And then you guys also have a hospital. I mean, how many people are employed out there about? Is it a couple of thousand?
We have about 1,300 employees, right now. And we have a whole bunch of volunteers and amazing physicians. I think one of the things that's also nice about our hospital and our culture is that our employees give back. So over each year, well over 1,000 hours we document in community service just by our employees alone working in the community. So we have a great employee body that's very engaged in this community too.
I have 30 seconds. Anything you want to wrap up with?
I I just want to thank Mechanics Banks for taking this time to provide these awards in the community and really highlight these great programs that are available.
Oh, it's certainly our pleasure. I mean, it's just amazing. And it's hard to select one. I mean, there's so many people we keep saying. And I keep hearing the word volunteer, too. I mean, it just takes volunteers, too.
Well, out of all of these organizations, that's probably the key, the volunteers.
And the bottom line is, when you volunteer, how do you feel?
Feel great. Just doing this.
It's just that simple, isn't it? I want to thank Jill Moss, Community Outreach Department with the Community Outreach Department at the Queen of the Valley, and Vanessa Gier, Director of Communications, for being here. I also want to thank Rejane Brito, Executive Director at Puertas Abiertas, and also from Girls on the Run, Jane Todd, from United Cerebral Palsy, Ron Hamilton, and of course, Dina Villarreal and Darren Petrie for being here from Mechanics Banks, who sponsor this. We have a fabulous community. I am super pleased to be a part of it, and this is my favorite part of the year. We will see you next week. This is Today in the Napa Valley, the Napa Chamber Edition.